Hello everyone, I'm Geek Freak and welcome to the video. Do you guys like watching movies? Do you guys like watching series? Is there a particular series that you love? Is there a certain documentary that you like? Do you like foreign films? Do you love horror movies? Do you like soap operas? Do you like anime? Do you like the old black and white films and series? Do you like comedy? Do you like the old movies and series that was replaced by woke regressive shows? And if the answer is yes, where would you guys go to watch all these movies and series? Now some people will go and say, oh well, I like to go and stream them. Some people might catch them on TV. Some people might watch them on cable. And hell, I might even have them on DVD. Well, you know what? Good for you guys. But there is one place that beats all of those, and that is the video rental store. Now, I know what some of the younger generation is going to say. They're going to say, oh, what's a video rental store? Well, basically, it was a place where people back in the day would go to look around a video store and check which sort of movies they want to watch. Again, it could be horror, it could be comedy, it could be cartoons. And you know what? I absolutely loved it. Nothing, and I mean nothing, beats the video store. The video store that used to be near me was one of my favourite places to go. They had movies, games, snacks. It was indeed a fantastic place to go to if you wanted to get, well, a DVD to watch or a game to play. And hell, they would even do photos that you needed doing. And you know what? I really wish that the video stores would just come back. And from what I've been hearing, I hear that Toys R Us is even going to come back. So I don't see the reason why video stores can't return. Now, I know what some people are going to say. They're going to say, oh, but Geek Freak, video stores are obsolete. There's no need for them anymore. Why should I go all the way to a video store when I can watch any movie I want on my PC or my iPad or my phone or laptop at any time I want? There are loads of streaming services that allows me to watch any movie I want or any series I want. And not only that, you can pay around $5 to $10 or whatever currency you've got a month to watch as many movies or series as you want. It's more convenient and it's much more cheaper than what the video rental stores will ever have or do. I can watch a movie or a series anywhere I want at a cheap price. Hell, I can even watch a movie on a road trip. So there's absolutely 100% no need for video stores anymore. Streaming movies and series is much better than going to the rental store. Well, I have to disagree. Now listen, even though streaming services have a really good idea of having movies on the website and you can watch any movie or series wherever you want, whenever you want, at a cheap price, and you can watch it on your iPad or your phone. Listen, I'm not knocking that. There is some good when it comes to streaming services. Like for example, you know when we had this pandemic where we weren't allowed to go anywhere because of the old pandemic thing? Now even though I really wanted to go and watch Godzilla vs. Kong in the theatres, even though I wanted to do that, I couldn't because of the old pandemic, but it's all thanks to streaming services that I got to see Godzilla vs. Kong. And yes, you can watch anything, anywhere you want, and at cheap prices. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is some good to streaming services, but if you really think about it, streaming services aren't really that good. Again, there is some good to streaming services, but streaming services does have its problems. I'll give you guys a list. Number 1, let's just say for example that you're looking for a specific movie or a specific series. Maybe you're looking for something like Little Britain, a comedy series. Or maybe you're looking for the Honeymooners series. Or maybe you're looking for the old Powerpuff Girls series. Or maybe you're looking for the Goonies, Lost Boys, Dusk Till Dawn, or something like that. Now, if somebody was to tell me that there are these streaming services where you can watch any movie you want or watch any series you want, or I saw somebody watching a movie on their iPad and they said, oh yeah, I'm watching this on Netflix or I'm watching this on Hulu or something, I'll probably think to myself, I wonder if this streaming service has a movie or a series that I like. And the thing is, with some streaming services, you need to actually register in order to see what the hell some streaming services have on their website. But when it comes to something like Amazon UK Prime or Amazon Prime, you can have a look on Amazon to see what sort of movies or series they've got. But from my experience, when it comes to Netflix, I had to register and give them money in order to see what the hell I've got. From my experience, I haven't found a website to tell me what Netflix or what these other streaming services have. Again, with some streaming services, I can see what they have before I can say and do, okay, I want to have a month's pay of watching movies and series to watch any movie or series I want. Because that's kind of the problem if you think about it. Let's just say for example that I did register to go onto Netflix and I gave them money to watch any movie or series I want, and I was looking for something like example The Goonies, just for example, but Netflix didn't have it, and half the movies that I'm looking for or I like to watch isn't on Netflix. So that means I'll have to go to another streaming service to see if that streaming service has a movie or series that I want. So not only have I paid Netflix $6 to $10 a month, where there's barely any movies that I like on there, I'll have to try and find another streaming service to find the movies or series that I'm looking for. Now, let's move on to number 2. Okay, now let's just say for example that you're on Netflix or Hulu or any streaming service, and you think to yourself, you know what, I want to go and watch Guardians of the Galaxy. I want to watch both of them. So let's just say for example that you go into Netflix and you look up Guardians of the Galaxy, but the only Guardians of the Galaxy movie they have is part 2, and they don't have part 1. So that means you'll have to go to another streaming service and try and find part 1, and possibly you might find part 2 as well. You guys get what I'm saying now? Sometimes a streaming service won't have a collection of movies that's connected with each other. Like for example, let's just say for example, you want to watch every single Friday the 13th movie that was ever made, but you could only find, I don't know, part 5 or 6 on Netflix, just for example, or you could only find part 9 and part 8 and part 1, part 3, part 4 on Amazon Prime. You guys know where I'm going with this. It can be any movie franchise that you love, but not all movie franchises is all going to be on one streaming service. Maybe you might find all of them if you combined all the streaming services that you've looked on, or maybe you've only ever found a handful of the movies that you're looking for from that movie franchise, but you can't find the rest on these streaming services. And that's kind of the problem. If you want to watch a movie series like Back to the Future or Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or so on and so on and so on, they might have a few of those movies, but they don't have the rest of what connects the other movies to the other movies. And that's problem number 2. Sometimes these streaming services won't have the full franchise of what you want to watch, which is kind of a bullbuster. But that isn't the only problem. It doesn't end with movies, it also ends with series, which leads me on to number 3. Now, one of my favourite sitcoms and comedies is the series Only Fools and Horses. This is one of the greatest British sitcoms of all time. It is an absolute amazing show, and I highly recommend it. The characters are lovable, the comedy's gold. It is a fantastic series. And guess what? Netflix has this show. I'm not really sure about the other streaming services, but Netflix does have this series. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. You're going to say, oh, but Geek Freak, if Netflix has Only Fools and Horses, then what's the problem? Well, the problem is this. You know how we've gone into the PC age, where you're not allowed to show certain things or you're not allowed to say certain things? Well, Netflix dropped an episode called The Longest Night, and this is one of my favourite episodes. And the reason why it's one of my favourite episodes is because I love watching movies or series, or an episode from the series, where the characters are trapped in one place, but they still manage to be funny and deep at the same time. And in this episode, they have... Now before I go any further, I'm just going to give you guys some spoiler warnings. If you guys are interested in this series, I highly recommend you go and watch it now because, again, I'm going to give spoiler warnings. Okay? 3, 2, 1, and go. Del Boy, Rodney, and Uncle Albert are accused of shoplifting, which they didn't, so they have to stop in the office until they can get things straightened out. And then another character called Lennox Gilby comes in and starts stealing things. And then he gets taken to the office, and then when they reach the office, he holds everybody at gunpoint, and he wants the money that was in the safe. And then later on, Lennox Gilby recognises Del, and they started chatting, catching up on good times, saying, oh, my mum's okay, and so on and so on. And Del tries to convince him to give up. And then Lennox says that he was set up, and apparently the security guard, the CEO of the shop, and Lennox had the idea robbing the store. So yeah, the CEO, the security guard, and Lennox was all in on it, and they wanted Rodney, Del, and Uncle Albert to be there as eyewitnesses, so it wouldn't look dodgy. And, fun fact, the creator of this series, John Sullivan, got the idea of this episode from a newspaper he was reading. So this story's episode came from an actual event that actually happened. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, okay, then why was this episode dropped? It sounds like an okay episode to me. Well, I've been hearing rumours from people who like this series, saying the only reason that they dropped this episode was because the character, Lennox Gilby, the one that was holding everybody hostage, well, he was a black fella. And if you guys know what today's PC culture is all about today, and considering how woke Netflix is, these days you can't show black people being aggressors or villains. And that is the reason as to why this episode was dropped. Because it portrays a black fella being the villain, which is total bullcrap because, number one, this plan was orchestrated by Lennox, the CEO, and the security guard. It wasn't vilifying Lennox. He was just part of the plan. And number 2, who cares what the villain looks like? It doesn't matter if they're Asian or black or Muslim or Jew or Gypsy or whatever. You can be any race or any colour and do bad things. You can be part of a group or a religion or whatever and do bad things. You can be a woman and do bad things. But no. It has to be a white man that's the villain. So yeah, apparently that was the reason that a black guy was the villain. Even though that wasn't the case. And who cares what the villain looks like? If somebody is in the wrong, regardless what they look like, then that person or character should be viewed as the villain. But I guess we have to make way for other people's fifis. That, oh, no minority can be a villain, but it's gotta be the white people that has to be the bad guy. But yeah, I'm going off track. So yeah, if there's like a movie or a series or episodes within a series that isn't part of the PC culture, or that movie or series or episodes within a series has something that people don't like, then plop, it's gone. And you know what? This is only one example of an episode dropped by Netflix that was supposed to be with the series. And you know what? This is just one episode from a series. How many episodes have they dropped from other series? Or how many movies did they refuse to put on their streaming service because it wasn't PC? Or what about series that they refuse to put on their streaming service because it isn't PC? Which leads me on to number 4. Streaming services dropping movies or series because it isn't with today's PC thing. Now, one of my favourite comedies of all time is Little Britain. This series is very, very funny. Now, the reason why they dropped it from Netflix is because one of the characters on the series started doing blackface. And that's basically it. And there was also this one episode where they said, okay, you're the dirty gypsy. Or there was this one episode where they said, now, get on your way, you black bee. And I'll say this, there is a lot of politically incorrect stuff, racy jokes on this series. Now, actually, you know what? I wouldn't say a lot, but there are some things in this series that wouldn't fly today. But regardless of what's in it that today's PC culture doesn't like, I still love Little Britain. So let me ask you guys something. Is there a series that you love? Is there a movie that you love? And did any of these streaming services drop that series or movie because it wasn't PC? Or did it drop episodes from that series because it wasn't PC? And this can come from anywhere. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, etc, etc. And speaking of dropping, let's move on to number 5. And number 5 is them dropping movies and series. Now, there could be a variety of things as to why they dropped a movie or a series. Number 1, it wasn't PC, which is obvious. Number 2, not many people watching it. Or number 3, copyright issues. So let's just say, for example, that you're in love with a documentary or a series or a movie. Like, for example, Walking with Dinosaurs. That is one of my favourite documentaries of all time. Oh, and there's also Walking with Cavemen and Walking with Beasts and Walking with Monsters, all part of the Walking with series. Oh, and there's also its spin-off, Sea Monsters. So yeah, let's just say, for example, that there's a series or a movie out there that you love to watch frequently, or every once in a while. Again, like Walking with Dinosaurs. And you know that it's on Netflix. But let's just say one day that you decide to go, you know what? I want to watch Walking with Dinosaurs. I'm going to go and watch that on Netflix. And then you go onto Netflix and you find out that they dropped the series. Just like that, without any warning. Or maybe they do give you warnings. To be honest, I don't know how they do this. I mean, do they give warnings as to if they're going to drop a movie or series? I don't know. So yeah, that's basically it. And with that said, let's move on to number 6. Now, when it comes to number 6, I noticed something when I was trying to look for a certain series or movie. Like, for example, do you guys know the Powerpuff Girls? The 2000s version of the Powerpuff Girls? You know, the old one? And do you guys know the new one? You know, the new Powerpuff Girls? Well, guess what? On Amazon Prime, they have the new Powerpuff Girls, but they don't have the old Powerpuff Girls. And you know what? I think even Cartoon Network doesn't have the old Powerpuff Girls, but they have the new Powerpuff Girls. But you know what? I'm going to assume that the new Powerpuff Girls is part of the PC culture thing. Hell, they even removed Miss Bellum and Miss Keane, the Powerpuff Girls kindergarten teacher, has had her breasts removed. So yeah, I'm going to assume it's all about the old PC culture thing. I'm not sure about the other streaming services, if they do or don't have the old Powerpuff Girls. So yeah, they don't have any of the classics, especially when there's a reboot to a classic like the Powerpuff Girls. I mean, you would have thought that they would have put the old and new show together, so people will say, you know what, I'm going to check out both these and see which one I like. But nope, it's only the new Powerpuff Girls. Again, I don't think it's actually on cable either. Again, it's not just the Powerpuff Girls, but other series in general. Why aren't any of the classics on these streaming services? I mean, I'm sure some of them do have, like, the classics. And that leads me on to number 7. Now, let me ask you guys something. Is there any streaming services out there that has every single movie, every single series that was ever made. From black and white to hand-drawn, foreign movies, every soap episode. What if I wanted to watch a Laurel and Hardy movie? What if I wanted to watch Quartermaster Pitt? What if I wanted to watch a Abbott and Costello movie? And yes, I know we're going to get some old movies on these streaming services, but you know what, not all of them. If they're going to stream movies and series and documentaries, they better damn have every single movie and series that was ever made by man. If not, then count me out. And listen, I know some of the younger crowd isn't going to be like too thrilled to watch old movies, but I'm going to tell you guys something now. The old stuff is a lot better than the new stuff. From 10 years ago to 20 years ago to 30 years ago to 40 years ago to 50 years ago to 60 years ago. And you know what? I bet you guys, if you was to give some of the old stuff a try and foreign films a try, I bet you'll find something that you'll really like. Because I certainly have. There's this one series or movie called Quartermaster Pitt from 1959. Even though it's in black and white, it is a great movie to watch, or series. I'm sure if you guys was to go and watch some black and white movies, or old stuff in general, I'm sure you guys will find something that you'll like. And listen, I'm not saying that all old stuff is bad, all I'm saying is there are some really good old stuff. I mean, let me ask you guys something. Would you rather have a movie that has really crappy characters and crappy story, and a stupid premise, but the graphics are really nice? Or would you rather have great characters, a good story, and a good premise, even if the graphics look terrible? Because there are quite a few movies that have bad graphics, or has a terrible picture, but again, has great characters, has a great story, has a great concept. I'm sure if you was to look at the old stuff, I'm pretty sure you'll find something that you'll like. So which one would it be? Would you rather have great graphics but terrible story, or great movie but terrible graphics? And yes, I know you can have both in a movie, but I would rather watch a movie that had bad graphics or a terrible picture, but has a great story. So yeah, go and give the old stuff a try, you might find something. And I wish these streaming services would do that, is to bring in the old stuff, alongside the new stuff. And so with that said, let's move on to number 8. Now, let me ask you guys something. When it comes to DVDs and streaming services, what is the one thing that you're guaranteed if you was to get a DVD of a show or a movie? Yep, that's right, special features and extras. Now, when it comes to streaming services, all they do is just show the series or a movie. But, again, do they have any special features or extras that goes along with a movie or a series? And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'll give you a few examples, like outtakes, where the actors make mistakes. Like for example, the series Bottom is one of my favourite series, and it's really funny. But if you was to go into the extra section of the DVD, they have loads of extras of outtakes from the series and the stage shows that they made. And the outtakes are really funny. You know, something like that. Do streaming services have extras alongside the series or movie that's on their streaming service? Because sometimes the extras and the special features are one of the reasons to get the DVD of the series and movie that you've got. Do streaming services have those? And from what I've gathered, I think no. I mean, maybe some might have extras and special features, but for what I've seen on Netflix, I'm gonna say no. They just show the movie or the series, and that's it. No outtakes, no extras, no special features, nothing. And that is the beauty of DVDs. And that is something that streaming services cannot give us. Now, I've got 3 more things that's wrong with streaming services, and it's more woke stuff. And so, let's move on to number 9. Right, now, you know on Amazon Prime, do you guys recall a series called Invincible? Yeah, you guys know where I'm going with this. And I'm just going to get straight to the point. They created a series called Invincible, and I'm not going to go into details of what the series is all about, so you guys will have to go and check it out and see what the series is all about. Anyways, basically, what happens in this series is, they actually race swapped the characters. Debbie looks Asian and Amber is black, even though in the original comic book that both these characters were white, and they made Amber the most unlikable person in the series. And there's been people out there saying that, oh, they just don't like Amber because she's black, which isn't the case at all. They just make her into a very moody, self-entitled brat. You're just going to have to watch the series in order to see what the hell's going on. And you know what? That's the thing. They don't stick to the original story of the comic book of Invincible. They changed a few things there, and they race swapped a few characters there, and they changed genders of a few characters there. And you know what? If the opposite was to happen, like the original characters within a comic book was originally black or Asian, but a streaming service said, make this black character and this Asian character white, there would be a huge uproar. Hell, in Disney's What If series, they made Black Panther into a white guy, and Twitter was blowing their top. So yeah, changing things around, like changing races and changing genders, and adding woke things that wasn't originally inside the original source material, is just a big fat no to me, so you know that they have an agenda behind them. And speaking of agenda, let's move on to number 10. And this is a recent one, and it is He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Now, I would have put this with the Powerpuff Girls bit, but this one really ticked me off and it needs to be addressed. Now, as you guys can see here, these are both series of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. The one next to the tick with it is from Cartoon Network from the 2000s, and the one with the X on it is from Netflix, which is called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Revelations. And even though the one with the cross looks amazing, and from what I've seen from the animation from the Revelations series, it looks amazing. It looks a lot better than the 2002 He-Man. But I'm going to say this, the 2002 one is a lot better than He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Revelations was more about Teela than He-Man. And so, we have LGBTQ stuff in there, and Teela is angry because everyone lied to her about Adam being He-Man. So basically, this series, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Revelations, is all a big fat lie. He-Man is barely even in it. I mean, the creator of this series, Revelations, could have carried on the story of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, 2002. But nope, he went full SJW woke, lied to everybody and pissed off all the fans, and they created Masters of the Universe. So basically, they don't even respect their fans, and they're fussing LGBTQ stuff in it, and Teela acts like a spoiled brat. So basically, Netflix doesn't have any respect for a fandom, and they are just trying to shove their SJW left-leaning agenda into a beloved franchise for the fans to watch, and they failed miserably. Hell, I even heard that they're going to make another He-Man and the Masters of the Universe series, which is going to be in CGI. I swear, they have absolutely no respect for the fandom at all. And now, let's move on to the most disgusting, vile piece of trash that Netflix has ever created, and that is cuties. Now, you guys remember when I said that the PC culture and wokeness is on Netflix and on some other streaming services that are woke and is PC? Well, they say, oh, we're not going to be allowing any racist content, and oh, we're not going to allow any of this anti-minority stuff on our services. Okay. They don't allow any of that stuff that makes minorities look bad, but they allow a movie that is vile, disgusting, and unpleasant that Netflix made themselves. They allow something like cuties onto their site. And yes, I know this was like a very long time ago. Well, not really, but I think it was about like half a year or something like that. Anyways, which idiot thought it was a good idea to make something like cuties? This is pee-pee porn. So wait a minute, hold on. You're not allowed to have anything that could be offensive, or you're not allowed to have anything that is full of hate speech. You're allowed to change someone's race around to make everybody feel inclusive. But they think having a movie or a series or whatever, something like cuties on their site was a good idea. Really? If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, please go and look on some reviews on cuties on YouTube. This movie or series is going to piss a lot of people off. So yeah, not only do streaming services have these problems, but they also have an agenda. They barely have anything good. I'm sorry, but I would rather have the video store come back than give my money to people who have an agenda, because that's exactly what these streaming services have. And just a quick update. Now, I know I said there was going to be only 3 more, but there's also a few more mentions I want to say. So let's get straight to them. Now, the other problem with streaming services is the buffing, or loading the movie, or you don't have any internet at all. But I think most people these days have the internet, so let's talk about the internet speed or the buffing. Now listen, if you've got like, bad internet connection or something along those lines, then it's going to ruin your movie experience. And now the next one I want to talk about is censorship. And yes, I know I said earlier in the video that some streaming services drop an episode or a series or a movie because they're too racy. But there has also been known cases where these streaming services play movies or series and they censor words. Words like the FAG word. And I also heard that they also censor anime. So instead of like dropping an old episode or an old movie or a series altogether, they actually censor words within a movie or a series. And you know what? I'm going to say it. I say no to censorship. Show us a movie or a series, uncut your assholes. And as for the next one, there are way too many streaming services, and streaming services are starting to become just like cable. I mean, let's just say for example that Netflix and Amazon Prime is your go-to to watch whatever you want. But Netflix or Amazon Prime only has a handful of the series of movies that you like. But if you were to check on every single streaming service, you would most likely find all the movies and series that you might like. Maybe. So basically, you're paying for Amazon Prime, Netflix, and 6 other streaming services just to watch the movies that you like. And every month, it leads to a very huge large bill, just for the sake of wanting to watch the movies that you like. But you know what? I bet the video store would have every single movie and series that you've ever liked, and you can go and rent them whenever you want. Or maybe you can go and buy them and have them physically in your collection. And you know what? I think that's what video stores and streaming services should be like. They should be samplers. Like, let's just say for example that you go to the video store and you think to yourself, you know what, I'm gonna go and rent this movie out. And it's the movie Deadpool. And then after watching that movie, you fell in love with it. And you decided to go and buy a copy of Deadpool. It would be kind of something like that. But if you thought like the movie was crap or it was just okay, you would say something along the lines of, oh yeah, that was okay, but it wasn't really for me, or oh, this movie was crap. So really, this is what people should see streaming services and video stores as: samplers. I know you can pay very little to watch whatever they have and watch your movies and series wherever you want, but I refuse to give my money to these people who have an agenda, and amongst other things, like I just said on this list. Now, let's get to the best part of this video, as to why I would rather go to a video rental store than a streaming service. Now, just to let you guys know, I haven't been to a Blockbuster, but there was a little video rental shop that was near me before it closed down. And back then, they had a lot of variety. Horror movies, when 18 meant 18, with blood, guts, and so on and so on. They had those sort of movies. You know, like Wishmaster, The Candyman, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, all sorts of great movies. And they also had a kids section where I would usually go to when I was a little kid. Sometimes I would get Charlotte's Web, some Looney Tunes cartoons, 1 or 2 Disney films. That was one of the best parts of going to the video rental store when I was a little kid. But it doesn't stop there. There was also the snacks that we would get, you know, like chocolates, drink, sweets, and most importantly, popcorn. And you know what? You can't go wrong with popcorn. And you know what? If video rental stores were still around today, I bet video rental stores would sell all sorts of food like hot dogs, burgers, chips, you know, all sorts of stuff. Not just sweet stuff like popcorn or chocolates or stuff like that. Today they could have like a sort of like delivery service. Like for example, they could say, okay, I want this movie, this movie, this movie, and I would like some hot dogs and burgers, chips, or whatever sort of food they would sell. And they would have the movies and the food delivered. I bet it would have been something like that. You could either go into the store and say, okay, I want this food and I want these movies. Or again, you could have them delivered. And to check if they do have the movies that you're looking for, they would have a website saying what movies they have. So not only will you be getting movies, but you also be getting food. And now, this isn't what happened in my day, but I'm pretty sure if video rental stores was around today, they would also be selling food. It would be sort of kind of like what the theatres do. The majority of the theatre's income is through food, not the actual movie itself. Well, that's what I've been told anyways. So yeah, moving on. And also, it isn't just movies that video rental stores rent out, but also games as well. I remember at my local video rental store, they also rented out games. I think they were still renting out the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, the Nintendo 64, and I think maybe the Xbox One. You know, the very first Xbox. So let me ask you guys something. Is there any streaming services that also lets you buy or rent video games from their streaming services? Hell, the PlayStation Store doesn't even have any PlayStation 1s, PlayStation 2s, or PlayStation 3s from the previous consoles for people to buy. And you know what? I find that really stupid that the PlayStation Store, as an online store where you can buy games, you can either download them or you can go to a game shop and buy a physical copy of the game that you want to play. And you know what? If I had a video rental store, I would have every single game on the PlayStation 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 5. I would also have the Nintendo 64, the Xbox, Xbox 2, Xbox 3, etc. Nintendo Wii games. You guys you know what I'm talking about. I would have physical copies of all these old games so people would rent them to play. I think I'd have to get a few consoles, like a PS1 for the PlayStation 1s, PS2s for the PlayStation 2s, an Xbox for the Xbox games, a Nintendo 64 for the Nintendo 64 games, a Wii console for the Wii games. You guys you know what I'm talking about. And yes, I know that would be hard to do, considering how rare they am today. But hey, you guys can't tell me that you're not curious on playing PlayStation 1s, or 2s, or 3s, or Xbox games, or Nintendo 64s, and so on and so on. I mean, people could make a fortune if somebody did that, like renting out all these games for normies to have a go and see what all the fuss is about with all these old games. It's like the old movie situation again. What would you rather play? Would you rather play a game that has a good concept behind it and is fun but it has crappy visuals? Or would you rather play a game that has fantastic visuals but has a crappy gameplay to it? And yes, I'm not saying that all games today have crappy gameplay and great visuals. I'm just giving out an example. So yeah, it's something like that. Not only would video stores be renting out movies, but also renting out games as well. And let's just say, for example, that somebody brought back in the movie or the games and the movies have scratches on them. Well, that wouldn't be a problem because they would have this sort of device that'll clean the disc, where it would make the disc look brand new, where it gets rid of all the scratches. So all your games and movies would be around for a long time. So yeah, that'll be something useful. Or hell, if any of your own discs were scratched, you could go to the video rental store and say, listen, would you mind fixing this game or fixing this movie, please? They have a lot of scratches on them and I would like them fixed. And these things will make the disc look brand spanking new. And I think they also have a device where they convert VHSs to DVD. That is also neat. Well, that's what they used to do at my local video rental store. Anyways, moving on. And also, not only would they be renting out games and movies and also selling snacks, they would also do something like photography or something. Framing them and whatever sort of stuff they would do in photography. I think that's what they used to do at my old video rental store. And to be fair, that kind of makes sense. Videos, games, and photos, they kind of connect. If I had a video rental store, I wouldn't have any of this woke stuff. And not only that, people would also have deals like, if you rent 2 movies, you'll get a 3rd movie to rent for free. Or, if it's a series, for £5 you can rent it for a week. And if it's a game, you can rent the game for 3 days. For say, somewhere around £5 for 2 games. And okay, to be fair, I'm not really good at pricing stuff, but it would be something like that. I mean, let me ask you guys something. Do you guys think that streaming services will ever replace the theatres or the movies? Because I'll tell you guys something now. When the Broly movie came out, I went to go and see Dragon Ball Super Broly twice, and in both times, the entire theatre was packed. And we all had such a good time. And I was so happy to see so many people come to see the Broly movie. It wasn't just a movie for us to all go and see, it was an event. I was just really happy to see so many people at the theatres who was a fan of the series. So yeah, I definitely say that streaming services can never ever replace going to the movies. I mean, maybe you're a fan of the Marvel movies, and when you do go to see one of the new Marvel movies, the entire place is packed. So you'll have other fans who loves Marvel just as much as you. So yeah, streaming services cannot replace theatres. And even though I wasn't allowed to go to the theatres to watch Godzilla vs Kong, streaming services did help in the pandemic, when we was all stuck at home. But you know what? I would rather be at the theatres or go to the video rental store than just stay in the house all day. I would rather be out and about, meeting new people and talk to people and stretch my legs. It would just be good to get out of the house. And listen, going to the video store or going to the theatres isn't just some big massive pain in the ass. Well, I'm actually going to talk about the video rental store. It isn't just some big massive pain in the ass where you have to go to the video store and having a look around, trying to find something that you can watch or find something that you can play with the video consoles. Going to the video rental store was a ritual. Imagine a Saturday night where it's around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock maybe, and you went shopping with your mom when you was a little kid, and then when you've done all the shopping, we would go to the video rental store to see what we could watch or play. My parents would get something like a horror or a comedy or something like that, and I would go to the kids section or buy a game. Or when I was older, I went and rented comedies, horrors, that sort of stuff. It wasn't a big massive pain in the ass. It was an experience. You was getting out and about. You was talking to people. They would make suggestions saying, hey listen, this movie is funny, or oh, this new horror film is fantastic, or oh, this new game is fantastic. And you know what? I would rather have the video rental stores back than use the streaming services. And listen, I do understand the benefits of using streaming services. You can watch a movie or series wherever you want, whenever you want, at a low price. But like I said earlier on in this video, there is a lot of things going against the streaming services. And if these streaming services didn't have all these things that was holding it back, streaming services like Netflix or Amazon Prime would be the ultimate place to go and watch any movie or any series you want. And hell, I even hear that Netflix is even going to bring out games for people to rent. But I don't think they'll be able to get all the old games, just like what the PlayStation Store can't do because of copyright issues. And you know what? I don't think video stores have these sort of issues. Video rental stores aren't held back by the copyright system. People just want to watch their favourite shows or watch really good movies without the worry of, oh, are they going to drop my favourite series or movie today? Did they drop my favourite show because it was too offensive? Or, oh, Netflix has created a series or a movie that's woke. And you know what? If I could help it, I would rather not watch anything from these streaming services if they have an agenda. And listen, sometimes movies and series are meant to be watched with other people. I mean, yeah, sometimes you want to watch something on your own. Like for example, maybe you're into comedies but your mom and dad isn't into comedies. Maybe you're into horror films but your parents are into romance stuff. You know what, that sort of thing I can understand. Or maybe there's a movie for kids, so you put that movie on just to keep them quiet for an hour or two. Or maybe let them play a game on their iPads. Or maybe you, your girlfriend or boyfriend is going to watch a movie together. Or maybe the whole family can watch one movie together. Like for example, a Marvel movie, you know, something like that. You can watch movies in a group or you can watch a movie by yourself. And you know what, I think video rental stores have more options than what streaming services will ever have. At least they wouldn't be bombarded with copyrights. And you know what, one of the other best parts of these video rental stores is, and these streaming services, is if you love a movie or a series so much that you can buy it on DVD if you wanted to. So that way, the movie or the series can stay with you forever. So let's just say for example that you went to the video rental store and you decided to watch a certain horror film or something, and then when you stopped watching it and you watched it from beginning to end, and then you thought it was like one of the greatest horror films that you've ever seen, so you decided to buy it on DVD. And that's the beauty of video rental stores and streaming services. It gives you a taste of all these movies and series, and if you love these movies or series, you can go and buy them on DVD. So what do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer streaming services, or do you prefer that the video rental stores would come back? Please let me know in the comment section below and let's get a discussion going. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out. Thank you guys for watching. And if there's a series you want me to check out and review and give my thoughts on it, or if there's a top 10 list you want me to do, or any reactions, or responses, or rants on anything geeky, just leave links and comments in the comment sections below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Don't forget to like, subscribe, put the bell on, share this video, and leave a comment in the comment sections below. And as for my social medias, I'm literally freaking everywhere! I'm on most video platforms, social medias, forums, and support sites. It's best to pause the video and see where I am. Literally all this is down in the description box below. So if you want to go and check those out, please do. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out.